Hi, this is a 2D tutorial on Adobe Illustrator. I'm using Illustrator CS5 and I'm on a Mac. I'm going to go ahead and open up my pre-made file to talk to you about the selection tools. This is obviously geared for novices and beginners to Illustrator who haven't maybe found their way through the toolbar yet all the way. So this is just talking about the selection tools and maybe looking at some of the benefits of each selection tool, and hopefully it'll help you navigate through some of your shapes and your artwork a little easier. The first tool here, the black arrow, tends to be the default selection tool most people go to, and it's pretty much a one-trick pony. It solid selects shapes, so hover your mouse over and click, and it will let you move that whole shape, all the points in the shape, let you move those around. It also brings up the bounding box, which is indicated by the blue line around the shape, the path, and these movable points here. Gives you the option to scale and stretch and reshape whatever artwork you have selected here. And that's pretty much what that tool does. It is the only tool of the 4 selection tools that gives you immediately that bounding box to resize and scale. The next one is the white arrow, the direct selection tool. So let's click on that, and you'll notice the bounding box immediately disappears. That's because this tool does something a little different, a little cooler than the main selection tool as far as I'm concerned. It lets you select the path points individually and move those individually to make your own custom shapes. There are multiple ways to select those individual points. You can directly select them, as the name of the tool suggests, by selecting them, clicking directly on the point. And with the help of the shift key, if you click and hold the shift key down while you're selecting, you can select multiple points at the same time. Another way to do that is to click and drag. So click your mouse button, hold it down, and drag out a marquee box and select multiple points that way. Something I forgot to tell you about the main selection tool is you can select multiple shapes the same way by dragging out your marquee, selecting multiple shapes, scaling them together, stretching them together. So back to the direct selection tool. Now you're not just held to selecting just the points of the shape. You can also use the direct selection tool to select individual paths of the shape. So you'll see a little black square pop up next to your arrow, and that'll indicate that you're over a path, and you can click directly on that path and move the path itself, the line between the 2 points, and move that individually as well with the direct selection tool. A cool thing about this is when you have a group of shapes, this is actually 2 shapes together, an outer circle and an inner circle. The cool thing about the direct selection tool is you can choose pieces and parts of grouped shapes with the direct selection tool and move those individually as well. The next tool is the magic wand tool, and for those of you familiar with Photoshop, it's a similar selection tool. If you want to select like colors or like fills with the magic wand tool. So if you wanted to select all of the blue in the artwork without having to use the click, hit, and hold shift option to select those like colors, you can use the magic wand tool and simply click, and it will select all of the like color or like fill in the artwork. It's really beneficial for really intricate artwork instead of having, so if you had 50 or 60 different little pieces of art that were all the same color, instead of having to go through and hit and hold shift and select all of those individual pieces that were the same color, the magic wand tool is really handy for selecting that all with one click. Now that's all you can do with the magic wand tool. I'm clicking and holding, trying to move it, and it doesn't move, so you'd have to go back up to your other arrows to move those selected objects together. The last selection tool option is pretty cool. I don't use it very often just because I'm not really in the situation to use it very often, but it is similar to using the marquee, except for you can basically draw out a custom marquee. So if you want to select the star and a couple of these squares, you can draw out a custom shape here and select just those items in a cluttered space. And those are the selection tools. There are a couple other options here as far as using keyboard shortcuts or key presses and holds along with your selection tools. So for instance, in a quick tip I just did, if you use the direct selection tool, which I think is the most versatile tool just because of this fact, you've got the direct selection tool and you're moving some individual points around, and instead of having to go back up here to the selection toolbar, you can hit and hold the command button, and that turns your white cursor into the black cursor. So there are a couple little neat tricks like that with some button presses between Alt and Option, the command keys on Mac, to help simplify some of your back and forth movement between the toolbar and your artwork. So those are the selection tools. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Watch some of my other stuff and let me know what you think. Thanks a lot, guys.